You want to hear a little story?
Yeah, let's. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So, look, I'm a little bit heavy on the acceleration. The car that you drive around in, just go a little bit fast around the town here and there. And anyway, so yeah. Anyway, a cop pulls me over, and straight away comes out. He goes, "Oh, you got your license now." Now down here, it's very, very important when you ask these questions. There's no knowledge there. So, for example, you got your license. Well, when you go with what do you mean by got, it deletes the whole. They have to start again. It deletes that program. So when you ask, what do you mean by, have you got your license? And then they go, they ask quite a few in the first sentences. They ask about 7 questions or 5, and they're all possession. So they ask a question, have you got your license? What do you mean by have? And then they go, oh, don't worry, we'll look it up. What's your name? I go, what do you mean by your? And he goes, oh, come on, don't be stupid. You got a name? And I go, what do you mean by got? And every time they speak, I just was dealing with the possessive term, have, got, your, and every single time it had to go back to 0. So what happened after they asked the possessive terms, this is just how it is run of the mill down here. They run on it's like a possession questionnaire. So after they ask the possession questions, they then go to, do you understand? Right? Because you've got to understand something about possession, right? Or what you're talking about. And I go, well, am I to understand by this that one agrees to these terms? And they looked at each other, and then they said, well, you've been speeding, you went this and you did that and you did this. And I go, do you agree with that? And they go, yes, we do. And I go, is that agreement between you and me signed on a piece of paper before the judge? Because that agreement's to do with terms, that we both agree on terms. And they go, no, that agreement is with Vic Roads. It's with the roads company, and you've signed a piece of paper with that. And I said, oh, do you agree with that? And they go, yeah, I do. And can where's is that agreement between you and me signed on a piece of paper before the judge? Anyway, the outcome is pretty much this. It's basically they just say slow it down, and I'll go, well, if it helps, and off they go. And that's all done in about 2 minutes. Do you know why you were speeding or something like that? And I go, well, I'll tell you if you tell me. And so you ask the questions down here. Possession is a real huge thing. This is like Possession Island here in Australia, prison colony. And agreement is very important, because as soon as they bring the order, for example, they tell you that that's what you've done, rather than arguing with him, you just go, well, do you agree with that? And that's agreeing with thine adversary very quickly. It seems to work very effective down here. Yeah, they agreed with it. And then I said, is that agreement between you and me signed on a piece of paper before the judge? And they pretty much did circles. Yeah, it seems to be quite effective. That's all I'm saying.
The thing of it is, you agreed with what they believe. It's beautiful, brother. I like it. I mean, it makes sense. Well, might argue what you believe.
If you're laying a claim on the possessor's property, or whoever you want to call it, the one is the absentee landlord on this rock floating in space, then you get the bill. And
you become surety.
Once you make a claim down here in this part of the world, it's a safety issue, because it's safety issues got to do with a liability. For example, if you make a claim, now there's the safety issues got to do with injury and harm or loss. And that's what the liability is all about. Everywhere you go, there's a safety issue. Why? Because there's an alleged claim that needs to be processed or needs to be investigated.
Well, yeah, and the simple thing is, you don't make a claim, why do they got to investigate you?
That's right. It's very simple, but for some reason it doesn't seem that easy for some people. I don't know.
Well, it's programming, brother, man. We program. Mom and dad programs us. Schools,
Yeah,
public schools, the churches. They're all programming
yeah.
centers, man.
You have a bit of fun with the programs. That's okay.
Yeah, no, it's fun to play with the programs. The thing of it is, don't ever claim they're yours.
They don't want to make a claim. They want you to make a claim. They've been trained not to make a claim because if they do make a claim, they know they can be liable.
Their job is to make sure that they're going to bring you a claim, claiming that you've made a claim. And how are you going to deal with that? That's the bottom line. I'm going to bring you a claim, claiming that you're an owner. What are you going to do with that claim? How are you going to deal with it?
Yeah, it's called bait and switch. I don't know if you ever heard of
Bait and switch. It's a bit like the hot potato. Now who's holding it?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'd ask them, if they come to the property, I'd ask them who sent you, right? And then they'd have to basically go, it's like their leader. Take me to your leader. So their leader. So is the leader here today to verify that he told you to come and see me today?
I got you. They told me the complaint was from somebody, one of the so-called good citizens.
Hang on, hold it there, brother. Now listen to this, if I may. Someone did the same thing to me, and they rang up. They had the enforcement people come over, or whatever you want to call them, councils, cops, whoever, and they go, "Oh, there's been a complaint made," and I said, "Oh yeah," I said, "Do you deal in anonymous claims?" And they go, "No." Well, neither shall I. Anything I can help you out with? No. And off they went.
Yeah. Where's the claimant? I'd love to talk it over with him. I'm telling you, somebody got a problem with his property. I'm sure I'll talk to him. Depends how much money they got, man. I'll have this fucking corner cleaned up in a heartbeat, man, if they want to accept the liability.
Yeah. There you go.
It's That's just right. Staying in honor, man. You ain't saying you will or won't. That's key. You're asking who's claiming it and when can we talk about it.
That's right. You need the meeting of the minds so there's an agreement and you come to the table. If it's even possible. Actually, that's the funny thing is there was an order put recently also on me and they put it in writing and I sent them back with a little note. I said, "Dear such and such, upon consideration, is there a signed agreement between you and me, and the judge?" And then I just go, "Regards," and that was it. That was the last I saw of him or heard of him. No agreement. See you later. When was the last time we agreed on terms?
Exactly. Well, that's the point. If they come over with an order, the yard's got to be cleaned up. I want to say, who's got that order? And when can I speak to them? I like to negotiate terms and conditions because if that guy really got to have it cleaned up, I can figure out a price tag for it and see if he'll agree, man. And they sent me for a psych eval. The hospital sent me the bill.
Yeah.
What are you sending me the bill? I sent it back to him. The judge ordered it. The county. And they sent it to the county and the county paid it. That's when it dawned on me, man. It's just an order. I mean.
Yeah. You've got to send the paperwork back and with a little note, and that's it. That's part of it. You're dealing with the wooden idol. It's very important to be dealing with the idol is what the idol is what man believes. And you need to consider the belief of man rather than going into some contest with him and saying, "I didn't do that," or whatever else it is.
No, you once you claim you didn't do something, how can you prove a negative? You know,
that's it.
Why do you think the prosecution has a 90% success rate? You can't prove a negative, I'm told. And
like when I said, "Do you agree with that?" and they go, "Yeah, we agree with this bullshit." Yeah, and then I go, "Well, is that agreement, between you and me, signed on a piece of paper before the judge?" When you bring up the judge, oh boy, it's a totally different ball game.
The only reason for the judge and the courts are for claimants to settle a matter. So I said, "Fine, you want to go to court?" But, I kind of told the guy, I think we got better things to do, man. But, I've been in there. It'd be fun.
I don't know how it is where you are, but if you ever go through customs, you're travelling, you ever talk to a copper who believes that he's a copper, whatever you want, whatever one is talking to, listen very, very carefully to the first propositions, and in that proposition, it will be a loaded gun with possession. Every question down here is pretty much loaded with possession. And what does that mean? Well, it means, for example, do you have a license? Now, that's a loaded gun, right? Why? Because it's got have in it. Have is possession down here. And if you don't deal with have, you lead them to believe that you're in possession of knowledge, right? And the knowledge is the term license, okay? And if you don't deal with the possessive term, it's the only term in court you can bring up is have. What do you mean by have? Right? What do you mean by got? You know, you got a lawyer. What do you mean by got? Right? If you don't deal with what does one mean by got? What does one mean by have? These basic possessive, you could call them little. They're like bombs. They're like a nuclear bomb. These possessive terms. It's like something to do a bit like stealth. It's like invisible. No one ever asks it, and yet when you ask it, when you're at, like a friend of mine said to me, he just got back from Thailand. He arrived in Melbourne Airport, and he got lazy, and he was just fucking around. He didn't deal with the offers, you know. Have you got this? You got that? What's in your bag? They ask you all the basic possession stuff. He didn't deal with it. They held him up for several hours, and he said, oh, he was exhausted. And I said, how exhausted would you be if you had your hand in a bar mix and they're about to make a tomato soup out of your fingers? Will you be awake then? He goes, oh, fuck yeah. Well, I said, that's what happens when you arrive in Australia. They're going to put your hand in a bar mix and they're going to make a tomato soup out of you if you don't deal with possession. And anyway, he woke up real quick and he realised, fuck, man, this is full on. It's like shock and awe. And if you don't deal with the have, the got, the my, the your, all the possession stuff, even give and take these specific possession questions, you go into joinder, agreement, whatever you want to call it, and it becomes a bit of a hell for you. And they make it. They write up the bill and everything for you, and they really put you through the mince grinder or the wood chipper. So it's very important in this part of the world, especially, to deal with possession.
Possession is making a claim, giving them jurisdiction.
That's it.
As long as you can stay on point. What do you mean by that? They're looking for a claim, brother.
It's, for example, you have a right down here. They go, you have a right. Now, if you don't deal with what do you mean by have, you go into the terminology of you have a right to remain silent. You have a right. So now you're going into the rabbit warren of knowledge and information. And if you do not deal with that first proposition, you're going to be handcuffed and thrown into a cell. And this is how it is down here. So if you do not deal with that possessive term, you have a right to such and such and such, blah, blah, blah. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. And then all you got to do is, what do you mean by have? And they do not do nothing to you. It's like you're standing behind the possessor. You're not in front of the possessor. And if you're standing behind by asking, what do you mean by these possessive terms? Unless you try it, you'll never, ever imagine the outcome. Anyone who doesn't do it, you can't imagine the outcome. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the seas open up and something happens. And if you don't do it, you're just going to be in concept world. Yeah, what?
Because, you have the right. I'd probably say, what evidence do you have anybody's got any rights? I mean, what do you mean? That's probably the way I do it. But you simplified it even. But you have a right. Well, what do you mean by have? It's beautiful.
some of the guys that I talk to down here, they try it out, and I'm not joking. They ask it, and they don't know what they're doing, but they ask it, and they cannot imagine the effect of it. The effect of it is in such a way, it's like an anvil from the sky about to fall on you, and then when you ask that question, it's miraculous. It's like something invisible happens. But yet it's happening in front of you. It's really strange. Until someone does it, you've got to live it. There you go. If you don't try it, how do you know?
Well, the thing of it is, I'm led to believe if you do it right, it breaks the programming. You know,
there you go.
People, you know, wow.
Is what you're saying, like, if instead of dealing with, like, if the officer were to ask you, do you have a driver's license, instead of dealing, maybe saying, what's a driver's license, you say, what do you mean by have? Because if I'm perceiving this correctly from you, if I don't address the have, then I'm almost admitting that I have knowledge of what a driver's license is.
If one does not deal with the possessive term and they go into the terminology of what a copper or someone else is talking about, immediately you're providing them immediate verification that you are in possession of knowledge, and you need to be taken down because that's not your property. You're using property that don't belong to you, and they can actually handcuff you and put you in the van and take you away for surety. That's pretty much how it is down here. So that's why, instead of asking about the term license or whatever you were saying, you always ask before the term. You don't go into the term, you go before the term is the possessive have, and you deal with that. You can try this anywhere in the States, and if I was there many years ago, and when I went to Hawaii and different parts, they stopped me at immigration, and they would ask, they would go, did you pack? Is this your bag? I don't go into the terminology of bag. I go before terminology, before the words. I deal with the possessive term, which is your. And I go, what do you mean by your? I don't go into any definition or terminology. As soon as you go into terminology, you're gonna be burnt. Your ass is gonna be like they're gonna throw you in a box and they'll take you away.
You gotta nip it in the bud.
There you go. Stay on point. You listen for it. It only takes a complete dumbass who don't know nothing other than he's a dumbass, and all he focuses is on the possessive term, have, got, your, my, or anything like that, and take, and given. Any sort. You know what happened in court one day? The judge goes, you've been given blah, blah, blah. And I go, oh, what do you mean by given? And he goes, don't be stupid. It's the best compliment you can be given. You can't get a better compliment than don't be stupid. That's the ultimate compliment down here. You're stupid. In other words, it's just saying to you, I'm trying to say that you're not coming with, this guy's a dumbass. He doesn't know anything. You understand? You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's the same as not being a claimant.
There you go.
That's good.
I'm just trying to paint a picture when you're dealing with you were given these documents and blah, blah, blah. Well, what do you mean by given? And now they've got a problem.
Telling you, brother, you're teaching me right now. I never, you heard me. I always say, go for the least common denominator. I'm telling you, that's a hard one to beat, brother. Where you're coming from.
This is about who go out and do it, and then we go, okay, I'm gonna do, and I want to live this. I want this more than life itself. You've got to, if you're gonna live this journey, you don't want no other you don't want no other life. You ready the way you go in. This is how I live down here. I'm already dead, and that's how you go into battle if there was such a thing. In other words, there's nothing for you to live for here, right? It's all, and I don't know. It's kind of like dying to what one believes. And if you can die to what you believe, then it's kind of like you're really annihilated anyway. And then you can start listening. You're not worried about what you think is yours because you go, what the fuck do you think I have anyway? then you start listening, and when you're listening, you only listen for the first 3 words, and in those first 3 words, you're gonna basically, if you don't deal with the first possessive term, then you're gonna find it's not going to be looking good for you. And that's the reality. And I think it's the same here in Melbourne, in Tennessee, in Detroit, in bloody Canada, in Africa, in China. And the Chinese are really good at about these claims, mate. People make claims. There's a hell of a lot of prisons there, just as many prisons as here in Australia. This is a prison continent, and there's no shortage of prisons down here. And there's plenty of room for everyone. Everyone's got room for a cot and a bed and pajamas and 3 meals. There's plenty of Hotel Californias down here, except we got Hotel Victoria. Hotel Victoria, Hotel California, it's all the same. Look, I learned something about a long time ago. I would ask these questions, what evidence do you have about blah, blah, blah? And then I realised I learnt from the someone who was listening to me asking this question. I think it was in a court, would have been a judge or something. And the judge goes, "Why, are you going to provide any?" And then I go, "Oh, shit. Now, because I brought up the term evidence, now I've got to provide it."
I would have asked him, "I provide any? Why would I need to provide any? I've yet to meet a claimant yet."
Yeah, well, that's when you're going, "Are you saying I was there?" There you go. Down here, I'm sure it's the same there. Evidence has got to do with, are you saying I was there? How can there be such a thing as evidence if you weren't, if there was no verification that one was there? You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
how can there be evidence if no one actually can verify that you were there?
Yeah. Who's the claimant? But yeah.
There's the claimant. There you go.
Once you realize it, man, fear goes away. Kick back, grab the popcorn, and enjoy the show. Let the claimants figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. These coppers, they're doing a great job out there. I
love them, I love them.
I think that, geez, thanks flipping crikeys that these guys are out there, because I love them, mate. I don't know how to put it. It's what fascinates me is I call them like the sons of the possessor, the coppers, policemen, whatever you want to call them. They're trained with the like as if they were the right hand of the maker. All right. Now, when I say trained, I've never seen anyone. I don't know any other. I don't know from church. I don't know any religion, or I don't know any cult or any sort of, I don't know, spiritualism or any sort of, I don't know, whatever. I'm trying to paint a picture that I don't know anyone other than the coppers who actually they're razor blade sharp when it comes to possession. No one else. No people ever know about it. No one else knows about it. But the coppers, they know about it more than dialing 000. How do they know it? This is what's mind blowing. And yet the average moron down here, you ask them about possession, they just go, you're a retard or something like that, which is true. And they continue on their way. Yeah, that's mine, or yeah, yours. Yeah, that's all this possession. And they don't ever change their ways. It fascinates me when I'm asking these questions to the coppers. Do you know how they listen and what they do? It's phenomenal. If there was one person that did something what these coppers do, and how they listen incredibly, is actually mind blowing. I actually don't understand why it's so difficult for the average Joe Blow out there to actually just pay attention just for one moment and listen. See if you can listen without opening that mouth long enough for the flies to go in. But that's why I'm trying to, if anything, if there's one thing to go by, is that how is it these coppers are like, their ears are highly trained and highly tuned to possession, yet the claimants can't even hear it. I don't know what it is. They cannot hear this possession. I don't know what it is. It's actually mind-blowing.
Boon. I'll tell you something. If everybody started acting like you and me, these fuckers be looking for work, man. They need work.
Hey, you know, I think down here, most people think that they're getting better pay working for the devil. So, well, actually, it may be something that's short-lived.
Yeah, was
Because the workers are few. Batman, the workers are few. Is it true? The workers are few who want to do this. Because is there enough love for the father? You know, is there a love there that says, mate, you know, who wants to do this? You know, maybe, you know, was it
we're just messengers in the wilderness, man. Voice in the wilderness. People are gonna do what they're gonna do, but hey, at least they got an offer to do it a different way than they choose. I mean, the
yeah,
message is
yeah.
out there, man. I believe.
When you do it, you'll be looking above and you'll be going, oh, thank you. Is that what I was missing? It's for everyone. Who isn't doing it? You wonder why? Why isn't
Hey,
anyone doing it?
maybe I was taking the long way around the barn, but now that you point out, man, doors open, man. Why walk around the barn? Because you're right, right on point, man. First
Brother,
three words, brother.
that's it. But the problem is, if you think you know too much, you're going to go into terminology. And I learnt that by the judge. He goes, you're just using your, as soon as you bring up terminology, you're in possession. He goes, now you're just using your, which is now your terminology. It's now you're in possession of it. That's it. And that's when it dawned on me, Batman. Does that answer your question there? One of the brothers who was asking that question before?
Yes,
Does it help or?
I believe so.
Oh, good, brother. Good. Beautiful. Beautiful. Think about it. That's the meditation. Imagine if there's such a thing as meditation. Meditate on the word. Whose word is it? Holy shit. Am I in possession of it? Well, here's the bill. All right. How do I hand it back to, what do I know about this word? Any word. It's all property. What am I doing in possession of it? And if someone speaks it, why is it contagious? Why is it now coming out of my mouth? Right? Because I'm in possession. Someone speaks it rather than asking, what do you mean? As soon as you repeat a word from another's mouth, that's what you call a virus. It's now in your mouth. And this is about as good as it's going to get. Here you go. Enjoy. Right? You go back to basics and you stick to the basic principles of the universe and which is basically, the possessor is basically the I and the Father are one. If you speak from I statement, you go to jail, right? If you speak from possession, you go to jail. You've just basically, rather than saying I'm using something, you go, well, if I'm using it, there's many questions that can come from that. It depends on what someone is saying, about using. But I learned something when I went to the court years ago about the judge asked me, do you believe you use the name? And I go, yes. And she goes, I'll take that. Because as soon as I made a statement, yes, right, she took what I took. So that's how it pretty much works. If you take, it shall be taken from you.
You made a claim.
There you go. I made a claim.
What if you
so
asked
that was training ground.
Wait a minute, Boom. What if you asked that judge, what do you mean by use it? I mean, or
well, do you believe? Like now, I'd say, do you believe you use that name? Well, and I'd go, well, if I said, how would I put it now? Do you believe you use that name? I said, well, if I'm using the name, does it mean I believe it's mine?
The thing of it is, the issue in the courtroom was allegedly there's a claimant there. And the point of the matter, well, I'm glad I believe I used the name. Who's the one claiming there's a problem with it?
If I was to believe one thing, it's the judges are there to help you become whole, and they will show you what you're taking if you can listen.
Exactly.
Give that a go and do it and live it.
Yeah.
What else can one do? And it would be great to hear some of the brothers on the call actually going out there, living it and doing it, and actually coming back and going, this is what happened. I had no idea.
Well, I believe what you're saying, Boone, is like an ace in the hole, if you know what I mean. Ever played cards? Ace in the hole it's real simple. I mean, real simple, man. What do you mean by your?
There you go.
It has me.
Beautiful.
You got me thinking already. Just the thoughts
Beautiful.
going through the head. I'm monitoring the thoughts going through the head for possessives. You know,
Yeah.
not even
All you
talking
need to
anybody.
do is if you write it down, it might help you. All you got to do is every day is you got to look at just things like my keys, your, have, got, given, take. There's quite a lot of basic possession, but if you ask yourself, why is it mine? You know, every day, here's your keys. Why are they, you know, what do you mean by your? And what do you mean by got? If you start to just do this slowly every day, you'll start to become aware of it. Do you know what? There are billboards in Victoria, in this part of the world, and I'm not joking. This is something really important to look at, if I may share, Batman, with everyone on the call here. They've got big billboards, you know, big advertising billboards, and it's get your life. Everything's possession. And what I'm trying to say is if there's one thing that you look for, is look out for possession in every sentence, in every billboard, in everything you look at. Always look for the third. It's like the 13th floor is looking for possession.
It's programming. Right? Get people to think they own what or.
So everywhere is the opportunity to open the eyes and look, where is possession? Holy shit, where isn't it? It's everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And when you start opening the eyes and you're looking around and you're hearing it out of the mouths of man, and you're hearing it, you're seeing it, you just go, this is it's like living in a bizarre world. But that's at least a start there, boys and girls, is to start to look at, geez, what is it I'm transmitting? What's coming out of the mouth? Why am I asking questions that are loaded with knowledge and information? Why don't I just ask, you know, a question before I go into terms and definitions, etc.? Because once you start doing that, it becomes very perilous, very much a road of peril. There, it's nice chatting to you, and I'm gonna finish up for now and jump on another time if you're around.